Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today we'll be big box store plant shopping at the Lowe's off of North McKinney, Texas. As always, please make sure you are hitting the like button for this video. It definitely helps push this video out to more plant lovers like yourself. I'm really excited to see our plant community grow, as well as following me on Instagram at Grow Folds. That's the fastest and most direct way to get in touch with me. Feel free to send me a direct message or comment on some of my plant posts. I post often, even on Instagram at Grow Folds. And this evening, I am just going late night plant shopping to see what plants they have available here. So we're going to see what this Lowe's has. But before we do that, I am going to go put in a couple of snippets. One would be an unboxing video of an Amazon live purchase. So we're going to take a look at that real quick before I go into Lowe's. So as you can see here, this is an unboxing live video from Amazon purchase. This one actually was a surprise to me because when I was actually browsing around Amazon for Aglaonema, if you've been watching my my plant shopping videos, you already know I love Aglaonema. So I ended up finding a really good deal where you could buy 4 Aglaonema for the price of like $44.97. Since I am an Amazon Prime member, I was able to get free shipping, and this literally just took about 5 days to get to me. So it was a pleasant surprise. But as you can see right here, right off the get-go, the fact that I'm pulling this out, and you can see that the packaging is really nice. These are by Plants for Pets. So a lot of the proceeds for these plants are actually donated to some animal charities. So I really like that. But notice how the packing is really carefully thought of and just really executed in a really good way. You can see right over here, this is an Aglaonema pictum tricolor, and that to me is a surprise considering that plant alone would cost around $30, but I got that in addition to 3 more Aglaonema. You can see right there, that is the card that went with the unboxing and the plant. As you can see right here, super healthy looking plant, and I love that the packing was carefully taken care of. So I'm going to keep pulling some of the other plants here before I take the plastic out. It is the holiday season, so you already know a lot of the plants that we end up getting. If it's not at a big box store, we're doing online shopping. I mean, you can see right over here, this is another beautiful Aglaonema. And for me, the reason why I took a slight risk on purchasing plants from Amazon is after reading a lot of the reviews and also seeing the photos of the plants, these Aglaonemas, I saw that they were a good size. I mean, so these Aglaonema are in about 5-inch planters, and so that's already a good size. Normally when you buy Aglaonema like this at like a local nursery, they're typically around $14.99 each, somewhere around that range. And the fact that I got 4 for $44.97 with free shipping, and the fact that they came here in really good healthy condition, considering North Dallas, which is where I'm based at, has actually gotten a lot colder. And so the fact that the shipping was quick, efficient, and I am just really happy that I was able to get an unboxing. So I actually got this box of Aglaonema in addition to my Green Spaces ID import. Both of the packages came in, and stay tuned for my unboxing of my other Aglaonema that I got from Indonesia. As you can see right here, I am a huge Aglaonema fan, and I know some of you guys might be looking at the big box store plant shopping that you're expecting from this video. Don't worry, I just wanted to show you a little bit of a different plant content before we go into the plant shopping video. I figured that I would go ahead and insert this unboxing right here. So here's the thing, whenever you are unboxing plants, you do have to be very careful in a sense of like not tearing up leaves or anything of that nature. Usually a pair of scissors really helps navigate through some of the packaging, but this one right here is just in perfect condition. So all 4 Aglaonema, I don't really see any damage. I don't see any browning leaves. The plants are all about the same uniform size, which I really like as well. So there's not a lot of varying varieties, but you can see here, look at that beautiful red Aglaonema. That one I believe is an Aglaonema jaiponsukseum, or somewhere around some red Aglaonema. This is obviously an Aglaonema super white. Love that. Then we have an Aglaonema pink Valentine, or some type of pink Aglaonema. We'll just say it's the pink Valentine. It looks similar to it. And then obviously the Aglaonema pictum tricolor. And to me, being able to get all of the plants for a really good sale price, I believe it's sale price, $44.97 is amazing. And as I, separate these, I'm going to carefully take the plastic wrapping out. What I want to do, even though these are potted in soil substrates, is eventually take them out of their soil substrate and actually convert them in semi-hydro, specifically leca. I don't really feel like all Aglaonema need to be in lechuza pond because Aglaonema have really thick roots. And so I just feel like leca balls would actually work as a good semi-hydro substrate. I am waiting for my Amazon package to get delivered this, this afternoon in terms of, whether I'm going to be able to pot these up in semi-hydro. I don't really want to have them in soil, and it's not because they would be challenging to grow in soil. It's just I've noticed that whenever I'm growing Aglaonema or any plants in semi-hydro substrates like leca or lechuza pond, it's easier. But you can see right here that they are potted up in soil. You can see that they have these little stakes here to just keep the plant from getting smashed. I mean, honestly, the packaging itself is amazing. And so if you are an Amazon Prime member and you want to buy live plants, I would say buy from this particular seller. They have so many plant packages with multiple plants. Like they have a philodendron package where you can get like 4 philodendron for a really good price. But for me, I love Aglaonemas. They are my main plant that I want to collect. I talk about actually having a very intentional plant collection on like what I want to add to my collection. And for me, I will just continue to add to my Aglaonema collection. I mean, how can you not like Aglaonema? You can see that they have so many beautiful colors and the variety. I really love the red, but I also love the super white. And the thing about the super white is all of these Aglaonema that I'm showing you right now are drought tolerant and low light tolerant as well. I will say for the red, actually all of the Aglaonemas pictured into this unboxing video, they will do a lot better if you grow them in bright indirect light. They'll have better variegation. You can see even with the super white, you're going to get that to be even more white. And what's interesting is, for a plant that's that white, it still grows fairly large. And so for me, hopefully I can grow these plants long term into really good sizes. Aglaonema do size up. They are a little bit slower in their growth, but as you can see here, plant foldies, I'm just taking the time to pull up the plastic. You have to be really careful and mindful about how you unbox plants. I've seen horror stories where people literally get excited about unboxing a plant and then they literally tear off a leaf, or more so just rip off an entire stem. So, with caution, you want to be very mindful about how you're unboxing, plants. For me, they've made it easy. Whoever packed these plants right here actually did a very good job because they have like a rubber band that actually ties around the plant stems, keeping the soil together. And literally, look at this. This is an Aglaonema pictum tricolor, and you can see there's already little baby offshoots coming out. That's the thing I also love about Aglaonema is that they shoot out little pups that you can separate from the mother plant. But for me, I haven't seen a size like this in Aglaonema pictum tricolor for that price. I mean, the fact that for $44.97, I got 4 Aglaonema, and the Aglaonema I got added to it is an Aglaonema pictum tricolor. Now, as far as being able to select the Aglaonema, unfortunately, it is really random draw. So I feel like I won the lottery. I feel like, I got all of the Aglaonema I would expect, like especially the red Aglaonema Jaipong Suksum. That one for me is what actually got me to want to purchase this bundle, because I already have a pink Aglaonema. I already have 2 Aglaonema super whites, but I really wanted a nice red Aglaonema. Like, red Aglaonemas are amazing. And, for all my loyal viewers, my plant foldies, and for those that are new to the channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. Welcome. You already know that I will share all of my Aglaonema collection with y'all. I know Kathy from Canada. Hello, Kathy. You're always in the live premiere chats. Really appreciate you always being there. I know you're looking for a red Aglaonema. I honestly wish I could ship the Aglaonema to you, but unfortunately, there's just a whole process, international process about sending plants to Canada, and I'm really not that versed, nor do I really have the ability to do that. I will say for those that want to buy Aglaonema, Green Spaces ID will import pretty much to any country or a lot of countries all around the world. So if you're looking for Aglaonema, definitely hit up Green Spaces ID. I have literally ordered 3 times from them, and every single order I've done for from Green Spaces ID has done very well. I haven't had any issues. The plants are growing well, and these plants right here, I mean, I could literally keep them in soil substrate. So I actually want your opinion. I haven't actually moved them into a semi-hydro substrate, but let me know what you think, whether I should just keep them in soil or should I move them to leca or lechuza upon. I mean, look at all of this. So what I am doing now, whenever I buy plants and I receive them, I spray them down with my neem oil spray. I call this the Foldy Mist. So it's basically my DIY neem oil spray. Basically, you take a conventional spray bottle, you put 2 tablespoons of rubbing alcohol, 2 tablespoons of hydrogen peroxide, 2 tablespoons of cold press organic neem oil, a drop of dishwashing soap, fill it up with water, shake, 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 and voila, you have a disinfecting plant pest killer and leaf shine all in one. So what I do is I spray down the tops of the leaves, the bottom of the leaves, the stems, also the top of the soil, and even the bottom of the drainage holes. And so you can see all of the plants now have been at least sprayed with neem oil. So any like plant hitchhikers, any potential pests at this very moment, we kind of mitigate that. Now, obviously, you want to continue to spray down your plants as they get into your plant collection. For me, I spray my plants all around my plant collection at home with that neem oil spray pretty much 2 to 3 times a week. So I haven't had any big issues with pests. But Aglaonema pictum tricolor, look at how amazing that is. Look at the color. And to me, I've gotten really good plant pricing, plant value. I feel like I didn't pay a lot of money for the quality of plants here. I mean, look at that. I'm getting about there's 4 Aglaonema pictum tricolors in this particular one. So for me, $44.97 alone, I would have paid for this Aglaonema pictum tricolor. But like I said, again, I got 4 amazing Aglaonema, and it just makes me so happy. And with the holiday season, I can't believe that it's only going to be week number 2 in December. I cannot wait till the Christmas holiday season is over. There's just a lot of spending that happens. There's a lot of work that I have to get done during the holiday season. And, for all of the viewers that have tuned into my live premiere chats, even though I haven't been as consistent, I really thank you for that. I'm really trying my best to try to get, all of that daily content out for you. So I'm just excited that I'm able to show you a little bit of a different plant content, and that's a plant shopping video where I unbox. I mean, look at how gorgeous this Aglaonema Jaiponsoksom is. Like, to me, we look at all of these like poinsettias. Wouldn't it be awesome if we had a bunch of Aglaonema, red Aglaonema like this readily available for the holidays, and this became a seasonal holiday plant? And that's a plant that actually can grow with us long term, because Aglaonema, again, and I will continue to just tell everybody this, maybe I can influence everybody to become an Aglaonema lover. It is so easy to take care of. And I mean, you can see right over here, these Aglaonema, like this red one is amazing. I just can't help but actually show you the leaves, and you can see that there's even subtle veining of this Aglaonema right here. For red Aglaonemas, again, even though it can be in lower light conditions, you really want to give it bright and direct light. Same thing with the pink Aglaonemas, like Aglaonema Pink Valentine. If you are a fan of pink plants, or even just really colorful plants, the reds, the pinks, even orange plants. I've really been getting into even orange plants. Aglaonema are for you. There's many different hybrids. It's just unfortunate, however, that in the United States, we don't really see all of the fancy hybrids that you would potentially see from countries like Indonesia, Thailand, and even the Philippines. My family is originally from the Philippines. proud Filipino American here. My thing is, when I went to the Philippines, I saw a bunch of Aglaonema, and they had those metallic looking ones. And there's just a lot of plants that we're not necessarily exposed to. It's just more of a limited selection. You know, when you think you are a plant collector in the United States, a lot of these plants take a while to get into the US market. It takes time to grow all of this. And when you think about Aglaonema, you think about like Costa Farms, how they've been able to at least get some of these Aglaonemas in the market. But I just hope that even more big box stores would carry Aglaonema. Like, this would be awesome to see Aglaonema super white as like a Costa Farms trending tropical, or even the red varieties, or even seeing the Aglaonema pictum tricolor. Just all of those Aglaonema would be awesome. So I am excited because tomorrow we do have the Cultivation Corner Plant Podcast. I believe it's one of the first plant podcast shows that's going to actually hit YouTube. I've been working alongside with Janae Simone and Steven at I Live Plants. So please make sure that you are actually subscribed to them. I am going to insert another trailer after this unboxing video before we go into the actual plant shopping video. I hope everybody will support us. It is December 9th, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time is when we go live, and hopefully everybody will be on the live premiere chats. We are definitely going to have a viewing party as well. We've been working really hard, and to me, it's really a culmination of all of our plant personalities. Like, we all love Aglaonemas. That's one thing that the plant podcast Cultivation Corner has in common, is both myself, Janae, and even Steven love all the Aglaonemas. I'm actually importing a couple for them as well. But in terms of what you to expect about the plant podcast, we're going to be talking about many plant topics. We're going to be having some special guests in all of that. Also, just things that if you want to hear somebody just talk about plant topics, a lot of times not everybody has planty friends, I would say, where we can just talk about plants. And so hopefully you will support us. Hopefully you've already got the notification bell on. The episode 1 is premiering on my channel. So if you look at my videos scheduled, please make sure you've already hit the like button, leave comments in the comment section for the Cultivation Corner Season 1, Episode 1, how to start a plant addiction. And you will really see that we do have the entire season already filmed. And hopefully, if we get some really good positive reviews from our plant podcast, we'll continue to create many seasons. So check this trailer out and let us know what you think. Yourself like looking at social media, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, about what trending plants are there. So like, say there's like a new plant release, all of a sudden you already have all of these plants. Exactly. But then you want to go ahead and add that variegated monstera or just some new release.
I'm much better with it now.
Wow. He has allocations. He's got an allocation.
He has the magic touch then.
Either the magic touch or
he has
something. He has a poly, an allocation poly, no spider mites. He doesn't really water it, and it's in like a overlooked plants. They also have another common trait. They're cost effective.
Yeah.
The price is right for the majority of us, unless you're one of those folks that can, drop $1,000 on a variegated whatever plant.
Wish I could do that. A lot of the plants that we think are specialty plants here are technically not.
And again, it is going to be tomorrow evening, December 9th, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I hope everybody will join us. We've been working super hard on the Cultivation Corner Plant Podcast show. Definitely subscribe to the Cultivation Corner Plant Podcast YouTube official channel. I have about 11,200 Plantfoldy subscribers. So I would hope that we can all go to that channel as well, because the rest of the remaining episodes will premiere there. The first episode will be on my channel, obviously tomorrow, and then we'll also have another second episode on Janae Simone's channel, and then the third episode will premiere on Steven, who is on I Live Plants, and then the fourth and fifth episodes will be on the Cultivation Corner YouTube official channel. And if you actually have Instagram, please make sure that you are following us on Instagram on the Cultivation Corner. That is where you're going to get a lot of the updates. And to me, as I head into 2025 next year, there's a lot of things that I want to be mindful for, things that I have personal goals. I'm hoping that we can grow this YouTube channel up to 12,000 subscribers by the end of the year. But the only way I'm going to be able to do that is, number one, through your viewership. So whenever you guys watch through my entire video, that helps with my watch time, helps with my engagement, as well as hitting that like button. I know that I repeat myself multiple times. I feel like I'm a broken record, like I'm just asking people to hit that like button, but truthfully it does mean a lot. It does help this channel out. I've noticed that my videos with more likes tend to get pushed out, and I end up getting more plant foldies to join our amazing community. But anyways, going back to this Lowe, so I know that I've hit you guys up with a lot of different types of content today, whether it's the unboxing content, also my plant podcast that I'm part of, the Cultivation Corner. But as far as this Lowe's location, so it is a very cold and dreary night, but as far as big box or plant shopping, whether I do plant shopping videos early in the morning or late at night, I appreciate going to those certain times because it's easier for me to film the plants. There's not as many people going around, but as you can see here, whenever you go to a big box store like Lowe's, you will see three main sources of plants. You will find plants from Costa Farms, you will find plants from Live Transplants, and then you will also find plants by Urban Jungle Plants. These ones right here are Live Transplants, and you can see, oops, I just knocked over an air plant here. These are for $7.98. So the real plants, real smiles, and I agree. As far as Live Transplants, I say this in all my videos, they really do have very seasonally relevant plants, and I appreciate that in terms of just the amount of creativity and effort that they put into the plants. Now, as far as succulents, not everybody is gonna like succulents. That's not necessarily everybody's cup of tea. What I will tell you though about succulents is it is a whole new world. It's like that theme song from Aladdin. It is definitely a whole new world. I think that's with any type of genus of plant. When you start to really get yourself involved in all the different types of genus, you'll realize that there's a lot of beauty around it. Some people will overlook succulents and cactus. I've learned to really appreciate it as I do my big box store plant shopping videos, because when you start looking at the nuances of whether it's the color, the texture, the way that plant grows, it's really nice. And I also love these really cute little planters. My only concern about succulent arrangements is, as far as, growing these plants, they have beautiful planters like this little pumpkin succulent arrangement, but the only problem I see is if you're going to grow them indoors, you already know that maybe the general person that does take one of these home because they want to either gift it to somebody, they have to really look at that lighting condition. And I think that that's what makes certain plants just more challenging. I would say with succulents, if you're not able to provide them the light that they need, they're just not going to do well. And that's probably the reason why I haven't gotten into succulents. I will say one of my favorite types of succulents is the Aeoniums, but I've sent 4 Aeoniums to Plant Heaven this year. And so that's one of the plants where I know that I'm not going to be able to grow them long-term sustainably. So I've kind of peeled and pulled away from growing those succulents. But as you can see here, really nice looking, seasonally relevant holiday planters. You can see it's got that nice bold red metallic look about it. It almost looks like gift wrapping paper. And I would think that these would make good Christmas gifts. So have you gone Christmas shopping? That's one thing I did want to ask all of our plant foldies. Have you gone Christmas shopping? And if you have, what Christmas presents are you giving to your friends and family? Please leave that in the comments. For me, there was this whole discussion about whether you should give people plants as a Christmas gift. We do have a full episode about that. That will be the second episode from the Cultivation Corner Plant Podcast. But I would tell you the biggest advice I would have whenever you're going Christmas shopping, especially for plants to give somebody, is you have to really look at what that level of plant expertise is. Is it somebody that completely doesn't have plants in their plant collection, or is it somebody that collects plants? If you decipher that and figure out, okay, this is somebody who doesn't have plants in their plant collection, I would always go to the easy care plants. So plants that I would suggest would be the pothos plants, the spider plants, sansevieria / snake plants, dracaena, Philodendron heteroraceum. Those are the easy care plants. I would recommend for somebody who doesn't have plants. And the reason being is if you give somebody a plant, you're already giving them some sort of commitment, because you can't just say, you know, Merry Christmas, here's a plant for you to take care of, and expect them to have the same kind of care routines that a lot of us are pretty much bound to, because I'm pretty sure the majority of people watching the plant shopping videos that I do have plant collections. So easy care plants, I would say let's go ahead and do, oh yeah, an Aglaonema, I forget. An Aglaonema, that's easy. It's vibrant, it's colorful, they're cost effective, you would save money, and it would bring somebody joy, because Aglaonema can tolerate those lower light conditions, and that is probably the biggest hiccup when it comes to people and their plant collections, is the fact that we don't always have the best lighting conditions for the majority of us growing plants indoors. So that's one thing I would suggest. And then also, whenever you're doing Christmas shopping for plants, you can either go to a big box store like this, like Lowe's, and just kind of wander around and look. You will find cost-effective plants at a big box store, and that's really the general assumption whenever you think of a big box store. But do not sleep on local nurseries or even online shopping. I mean, the fact that I was able to get 4 Aglaonema for $44.97, one that included an uncommon Aglaonema pictum tricolor, that's amazing. And to me, if I wanted to gift somebody an Aglaonema, I would just go ahead and buy that package again and give 4 of my friends or family, or even Plant Foldy subscribers, an Aglaonema from that seller on Amazon. So many ways to navigate Christmas shopping. And so as far as like me showing you these plants, for instance, that I'm picking up, like this is a really nice ficus ginseng bonsai by Costa Farms. These would make nice gifts. The only thing I would say about Costa Farms ficus ginseng is you want to make sure you are providing it with quite a bit of light. And then as far as a ficus plant in general, you need to stay on top of the watering, because if you don't, they end up actually wanting to go to plant heaven. And so if you want to send a ficus to plant heaven very ficus, if you don't stay on top of the watering, they will find a way to get there as fast as you can blink. Like literally, that's what some of the ficus plants end up doing, is if you're not giving them that right watering and lighting condition. So I go back to the fact that we all just need Aglaonemas. I really think so. And I think it's one of those things that I'm going to bluntly talk about with all of the plant foldies, is don't sleep on that. And when I do find Aglaonema at this Lowe's, hopefully I'll run into it. I'll go into more details about that. But you can see these are the smaller varieties of ficus right here. I've had, bonsai in the past. That's something that I was also very much into, is bonsai trees. I love the very traditional, very curated way of training a plant to be a miniature tree. There is a lot of patience around it. This isn't something you could just pick up and say instantly, oh, I have a bonsai tree. So for anybody that actually grows bonsai, let me know in the comment section what types of shrubs or trees do you like to utilize for bonsai. Now, as far as like tropical plants, one thing that I wanted to make as far as bonsai, because I've done it in the past, is to use like an umbrella plant or a schefflera. I think that would be a cool tropical bonsai. You don't really think about like tropical plants as being a bonsai. You really think about like plants that are more conducive to like growing outdoors, like a miniature type tree. But as far as this Lowe's location, I will say they've got a decent amount of plants. I wouldn't say this is the most full Lowe's location, but I'll say as far as Lowe's, consistently in terms of the plants that you can buy at a big box store, Lowe's is fairly consistent in at least having plants available to purchase year round. I can't always say that about other big box stores, like particularly Walmart, certain Walmarts will still have indoor tropical plants, but when the season comes around, they tend to move it to where there's more like Christmas trees and holidays. So you don't see that. And I just knocked over this orchid. I feel bad. But these orchids, for instance, look at this one right here, $29.98. This is another type of orchid. This is not a Phalaenopsis orchid. And look at how cool the blooms are. Really love the look of this particular orchid. I think it's amazing. I think it's one of those orchids that I would be tempted to add. And again, this is another example of whenever you're going plant shopping, you find an interesting plant and you're tempted to purchase it because it looks cool. I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that. Like, I think if you're gonna go big box store plant shopping or plant shopping for plants, you should have some idea of what plant you're looking for. You should already have done some sort of research to see if that plant is gonna fit your space. And the reason being is if you go into a big box store or a local nursery with the intent of buying a plant but not have any type of idea, it really lends itself to you actually spending more money and having impulse buys. And impulse buys, I'm pretty much, in that situation too, where you end up spending more money because of the impulse buy, because you didn't really have an idea of what plant you want to buy. And so for instance, this right here, I'm already conscious of the fact that I was really tempted to purchase this for $29.98 because it's already in a substrate, orchid bark substrate that makes it easy to grow that orchid. And I haven't really seen different varieties of orchids pop up. It looks like Lowe's in the DFW have started to get, I think either these are dendrobium orchids or some type of orchid. Obviously, we have the Phalaenopsis orchids that we see year round, but we've also seen Vanda orchids, and I'm going to show you that later on in this video. So for those that have made it this far into the video, please, take the time to hit the like button. I would really appreciate it. Definitely helps push this content out to more plant lovers like yourself. And if you have any type of commentary or questions about the plant, whether it's my unboxing video, whether it is for the plant podcast, anything you want to add into the comment section, I'd really appreciate it because I do respond to pretty much any comments that we put in the comment section. Obviously, we want to keep it positive. That's one of the things about this plant YouTube channel community, the Plant Foldies. Everybody has been very supportive. I love the fact that we share plant insights, whether it's about their plant collection or what plants we might necessarily be struggling with and we need help. This is the channel for you. Everybody is welcome. Everybody is valued, and I appreciate it. This is one of those situations where, yes, I probably should have just rested a little bit more. This is the weekend that I'm actually off. Next weekend, I'm having to work. But it's one of those things where even just filming plants and picking up plants, showing you these, but more so just me talking and giving you this voiceover about some of my plant insights, my plant commentary, it's very therapeutic for me. And I don't know if a lot of our viewers come on to these plant shopping videos to just kind of interact with each other or just to listen to me talk. I'm actually surprised. I'm a little bit shocked that people really do care to listen to what I have to say about some of these plant insights. And for me, it's just a lot of fun to just see you guys really, engage with me. Now, as far as these Phalaenopsis orchids, you can see that this is a mixture of a Phalaenopsis orchid with a Philodendron Florida Beauty. Love the Philodendron Florida Beauty. It's not Philodendron Florida Beauty. It is a Dracaena Florida Beauty. As far as a Dracaena though, it does have different characteristics. Most Dracaena are low light tolerant and drought tolerant. That one particular is not. Now you can see over here, we do have another bonsai type plant. This one is more of a succulent bonsai. This one is some type of jade, I would say, maybe some type of Crusala. Not 100% sure, so I'm not gonna flash the plant ID for it. I will say it is a succulent, so therefore it's going to need a lot more plant, the lighting needs to be right for that. But these are plants, like, they're not necessarily in the perfect shape to where you would actually consider them like full-blown bonsai. I would call these more so pre-bonsai, and so it's going to just take a while for it to actually be a full work of art. It takes several years, even decades, to really get that. And as far as bonsai, it's kind of like a fine wine where age actually makes the value even more so higher. It's the same thing with bonsai. The older the plant is, the more developed it is, the more sought after it is, because it is a work of art. It takes time, patience, and literally time. Now, as far as these urban jungle plants that I've seen here, these are for $22.98. I do love the look of the actual planter. I think that terracotta look, that nice orange bold statement, and then also just having that shiny glaze just a little bit on it is actually a nice touch to it. So the thing about urban jungle plants is I wouldn't say their planters are as sleek or as modern as, say, the live transplants, but it is one of those that actually is very competitive when you start comparing it to live transplants. I mean, you can see right here, this is a Ficus elastica burgundy for $13.98. I love that this actual planter is a little bit taller, so there's a little bit more height to it. And as far as this particular plant, this plant actually just needs quite a bit of light. So any Ficus elastica, or what you would call a rubber tree plant, where it is going to need a lot of light. Now with the burgundy, that dark foliage will only be pushed out if you provide it with quite a bit of light. Now this one right here is a black rabbit's foot fern, and I see this pretty much on a daily basis, but look at those roots right there. They look like tarantula legs. I don't really want to think of that because it is a little bit creepy, but we'll just say that this is definitely the black rabbit's foot fern. As far as this fern, it is going to need a little bit more just a little bit more water. Just make sure you keep the soil moist, and so don't let it dry out completely, and it should do well for you. And then this one right here, I do love the look of this urban jungle planter. Let's take a look at the price. That's $22.98. So this is a juvenile form Monstera deliciosa, and as far as the green Monstera deliciosa, I do feel like a lot of people are not as into Monstera deliciosas, but to me this is the OG, the original Monstera. Even though we have a lot of Monstera type constellations, many varieties of variegated Monstera, eventually we're going to see those variegated Monsteras hit the big box store. But for me, having a mature or even a juvenile form of a Monstera deliciosa is a classic choice for a plant. Now, if you're going to think that this plant is going to remain that size, unfortunately, you're going to have to plan for it to be a big plant if you grow it long term. Now, I love urban jungle hanging baskets. These ones are the ceramic planters. This is a Philodendron heteroraceum, just a green form. They have the neon form as well, but even just having solid green foliage, I think is absolutely stunning. This is another plant that's very easy to grow. It's similar to like an Epipremnum aureum or a pothos plant. Bright indirect light is best for it, although it can tolerate lower light conditions. And then over here for $13.98, this is a Philodendron brantianum. And I remember when Philodendron brantianum was quite expensive about 3 to 4 years ago, but now it's readily available. I do love the metallic shine, the metallic look about this philodendron. Now, this philodendron does need a little bit more humidity to do well. It will give you big, really large leaves if you grow it on a totem pole or moss pole. If you grow it as a hanging trailing plant, the leaves actually become smaller and smaller as they trail down. But if you attach it to where it wants to grow up naturally, it will give you some really large leaves. Now, this is another Scindapsus silver Ann. This one is another urban jungle plant for $13.98. Scindapsus, to me, if you want more of a silvery tone, a velvety texture, then Scindapsus are for you. It's also known as the silver pothos, even though it is not an Epipremnum aureum. But as far as the trailing ability for it, I think it's another easy to care for plant. Low light tolerant, drought tolerant as well to a certain extent. it will start to curl its leaves when it's telling you that it is hungry. So you have to make sure that you stay on top of the watering in terms of that. Now, all of the other plants right over here, we've got a philodendron pink princess. This is a trending tropicals Costa Farm plant. Now, this is for $19.98. It doesn't have nearly as much variegation on the philodendron pink princess. So if you're looking for a highly variegated philodendron pink princess, I'll tell you that the initial genetics of the plant is really what's going to dictate what variegation you're going to get out of it. Like this one has a little bit more pink variegation. A lot of people that are wanting a philodendron pink princess are going for like the philodendron pink princess marble galaxy. I have a couple where it has like splotchy pink variegation. I just feel like the philodendron pink princess, there's just many different strains of it, many different types of tissue cultured. And that one, you know, by Costa Farms, it's still a beautiful philodendron, but it doesn't have nearly as much pink on it. So you're going to have to be a little bit more selective. Over here, we have a Vanda orchid, and this one is for $36.98. And I love Vanda orchids. They remind me of my home country, which is the Philippines. There's a particular Vanda orchid called the Waling Waling. If you do a internet search for it, it is such a stunning orchid. It is literally the queen of all Vanda orchids. But you can see here, look at the face of this right there. And for me, I would love to actually collect orchids, but that's the thing. To prevent us from, you know, plant burnout or just inundating ourselves with a bunch of plants, I just say pick a genus of plants or pick a certain amount of plants to add into your plant collection and kind of stick to it. Like it's so easy for us to go around a big box store, you know, and just have impulse buys, just buy all of the plants, but not really have a intentional place on where you're going to put it in your home. And for me, it is all about not only just acquiring plants, but actually having the space and also the plant styling to where you can enjoy the plant, where you don't feel like it's actually cluttering your space. Because right now, and that is really the main reason why I haven't done a house plant tour, it's because I do feel like my plant collection as of now is cluttered. Like this right here, though, this Alocasia dragon scale for $13.98. That's actually a really good price. It's so beautiful. And my dragon scale has actually done a good conversion into semi-hydro. It's actually growing in lechuza pond and it's done very well for me. Makes me happy and excited that I'm able to like grow Alocasia long term with very minimal care once I've actually put them in semi-hydro. And here's the benefits of growing plants in semi-hydro, whether it's lechuza pond, and I really wish Amazon would restock lechuza pond, or leca. Just the amount of time you have to water the plants is really reduced because you have a water reservoir. And that's the reason why I have them in self-watering planters. I do intend to convert some of my Aglaonema into semi-hydro, all of my anthuriums. And if you haven't followed me on Instagram, follow me at Growfolds. You will see my anthurium collection. Yes, I am slightly in my anthurium era, but more so I am really more about my going back to the basics, going back to the easy care plants. And you'll hear me talk about that throughout all of my future videos about just making, you know, taking it easy and going for the easy care plants. Now, if you look at this philodendron pink princess, $19.98 by Costa Farms, this is considered an easy care plant. While, you know, some people will say the variegated plants are going to be a lot harder to take care of, it really just depends on the plant. I would say any philodendron urubescens or these philodendron pink princess type plants, those are easy to care for. And then I'm just going to keep walking around and showing you some of these like bonsai plants and other plants that are available to purchase at this Lowe's. here's another gorgeous Epiprimnum pinnatum Baltic Blue by Costa Farms Training Tropical. What I like about this Epiprimnum pinnatum for $19.98 is you notice how it has some fenestrations, even though it is not climbing up a pole, a moss pole or anything. It's one of those few Epiprimnum pinnatums that it doesn't necessarily need to climb up for it to start pushing out that fenestration, which actually is very interesting to me. I've had this before, but I ended up getting mealy bugs on it, and I just haven't replenished getting an Epiprimnum pinnatum. You know, Epiprimnum pinnatums, they are known as tibatib in the Philippines. These are basically considered weeds because they just grow everywhere in the Philippines. And that's the thing about these house plants, or what we call house plants, is these plants are actually native to a lot of these other countries, that these are basically outdoor plants. And as you can see here, we do have a bunch of bromeliads as well. And as far as bromeliads, for me, it really depends on how you display it, on whether they actually become an interesting plant in your plant collection. And you can see here, this is a Syndapsis trubii moonlight in an urban jungle planter. You can see that terracotta actually brings this out. This is actually a Costa Farms plant for $19.98. So it looks like some people have kind of moved around some plants, but what an interesting look that has right there. And then we have more bromeliads. So I'm just going to walk around and just show you what other plants they have available at this Lowe's.
You don't want my heart, you don't want my love, you just want me crying over you. You don't want my heart, you don't want my love, you just want me crying over you. And I'm thinking about you.
We've got a bunch of Costa Farms plants, and you can see we do have a Calathea orbifolia, $15.98, and we have some more Epiprimnum pinnatum Baltic Blue. Look at that fenestration on that plant as well. Now with the Epiprimnum pinnatum Baltic Blue, if you don't provide it with quite a bit of light, it does get a little bit more leggy, and it just shoots runners, and it doesn't give you that beautiful bluish tint to its leaves. So, you know, the lighting conditions have to be high light for it to really thrive. And as I pan away over here, you can see that this Lowe's has a lot of these larger plants. So we have a bunch of Dracaenas and Majesty palms right here. Now Dracaena, this one is just a common one that you would find. It does have a little bit browning on the tips. What I would do is, if you see browning on the tips of any of the plants, you can just take a pair of scissors and cut it. And then one of my all-time favorite classic plants, Aglaonema Silver Bay. This one is for $29.98. And you can see we have a lot of large foliage plants here. I love the Aglaonema Silver Bay. Look at that beautiful silver tone it has. Gorgeous plant. It's another plant that I would recommend in anybody's house collection because it's easy to care for, drought tolerant, low light tolerant. You don't have to water it as much, and it's pretty forgiving if you don't water it nearly as much as it requires. Honestly, overwatering is what will end up killing it. And then we have a bunch of Dieffenbachia sublimes here. Now let's take a look at the price. It's $22.98 by Costa Farms. It is another plant that does need quite a bit of light, and I tried to to grow a large Dieffenbachia in my plant collection, but unfortunately it didn't do well for me. It just didn't get enough light. And with Dieffenbachia, not only does it need a lot of light, it also needs quite a bit of humidity for it to grow. Now, when I was on vacation in the Philippines back in July, I was able to see a lot of Dieffenbachia just thriving outdoors in full sun, and it was large specimens as well. But look at that variegation, that green on green variegation is stunning. Unfortunately, I know that in my home conditions, I'm not going to be able to give the optimal amount of growing conditions for it. So this is a plant, as beautiful as it is, I will only admire it at a big box store versus taking it home, and that's okay. For us, we can love the plant, but if we don't have the plant ideal conditions for it, I would just say let's just go window shopping versus actually picking up a plant and maybe wasting our money, because it's going to end up in plant heaven. $12.98. This is a Dracaena white aspen, and as far as a plant, as the Dracaenas are concerned, it's a beautiful plant. If you're able to get it to a large size, it is stunning. But the problem is this particular Dracaena tends to get browning, crispy leaves. So I don't really know if it's because of like the humidity or what it is, but it's a very sensitive plant. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it unless you have the optimal conditions, and even then I haven't figured that out. And then you can see right here we've got some Phalaenopsis orchids in a Kokedama style setup. This one's for $21.98. Really like how cute these are, and we have a bromeliad as well. And then we also have another Dracaena. So if you're going to pick between the Dracaena white aspen versus this Dracaena right here, I would choose this one, this green on green one. Even though it is considered a basic plant, it is an easy to care for plant. It is a plant I would recommend for anybody wanting to grow an easy care plant. And this is a plant that you can even give as a Christmas gift. So as you're doing your Christmas shopping and you're looking for gifts, if you're considering giving somebody plants as a gift, I would definitely recommend that. That's an easy to care for plant. And then as you walk around here, we can see that there's a Philodendron tortum. I love the Philodendron tortum. Really nice looking plant as well for $19.98. Really like the look of that. And it's another plant that I would recommend for anybody wanting plants and that are easy to care for as far as the philodendron. And then this one is a Monstera adansonii for $19.98. And you can see that the leaves have actually gotten pretty large. This particular plant though needs to be really growing up a pole, a moss pole, some type of support, because that's really what it wants to do in its natural habitat. So if you don't have that, I don't think you're going to really push out the potential beauty of this particular plant. I, for some reason, haven't been able to grow a Monstera adansonii long term. It always ends up dying. I actually have one that's got more of the neon colored one that I need to not really neglect. I've kind of neglected it, and that's the thing. My habit, and it's really unfortunate, is when I start seeing a plant struggle, instead of like reacting and actually doing something to mitigate it from getting further like neglected, I just kind of give up. And so I have to really wheel myself from like just giving up on the plant. I don't know if you've been in that situation too, where you get discouraged. Plant foldies watching right now, please leave that in the comments. Let me know about your insights, and also just letting me know if you've been in that situation where you get discouraged because of a plant declining in its health. Now, as far as these xanthosomas, one of the easiest to take care of plants. It's another plant that I would recommend. That one is also for $19.98. It's not a hard plant to keep alive as long as you stay on top of the watering. And what's cool about it is this particular plant, you don't necessarily have to worry about watering it or not knowing when to water it. It will definitely let you know. It will droop its leaves, and it'll let you know when it needs water. is another beautiful Vanda orchid right over here. It's got that beautiful lavender color about it. It looks like the blooms are about to be spent. What I like about Vanda orchids though is just the aerial roots that they have. They literally don't need any type of substrate. It's literally just hanging on by a little small cage, and you can hang Vanda orchids. They do need that as well. We need to just make sure if you're going to have Vanda orchids that they get a lot of bright indirect light. That's an orchid that definitely needs quite a bit of light. And then you can see that this particular Lowe's has more Vanda orchids available. You can see this one has more of like a purple tone about it. And then further back, there's a darker purple tone Vanda orchid. Love the look of Vanda orchids. I'm not 100% sure though how long the blooms last, but what I will say is it's nice to see that there's Vanda orchids available again at Lowe's. I would love to add a Vanda orchid to my plant collection. There are some orchids I want to add. I do have one Phalaenopsis orchid. It's a variegated Phalaenopsis orchid. It's not in bloom yet, so I'm waiting to see when it's going to rebloom. I'm hoping that it will rebloom soon. It's been dormant for the last 2 to 3 months, but at least it's still living for me. So, that's a plus. And then over here we have our golden pothos for $15.98. And again, with golden pothos, what I would say about golden pothos, and I think people would agree, is it is a very stable plant. It's a plant that you can find at any big box store. It's an easy to care for plant. It's often overlooked, and I think it's because it's readily available. So it's not something that would be very challenging to find at a store. So I think a lot of people just overlook that because of how available it is. I do think that a healthy looking golden pothos will bring people joy. And speaking of joy, look at this Neon Enjoy pothos. There's still some Neon Enjoy pothos by Costa Farms. This is for $19.98. So the Neon Enjoy pothos is actually a Teruno World Series Japanese pothos. So who would have thought that Japanese pothos would make it into a big box store like Lowe's? The Neon Enjoy pothos, Epipremnum aureum Neon Enjoy, beautiful plant. I actually have two Neon Enjoy pothos. I can't help but look at just how cute the leaves are. Obviously, they are smaller in the size, but you can see that there are some very unique and distinct features of it. It has that neon colored with splotches of green. And as far as like pothos plants in general, a lot of the new varieties are basically just mutations of a variegation that happens that was cultivated and basically stabilized to where they still had that same variegation pop up. I love the Neon Enjoy pothos. Now with this specific pothos plant, since it is smaller, it's similar to the Enjoy pothos and the global green pothos. These smaller leaf pothos tend to be slower growers, but if you're able to get it into a size where it starts to trail, I just think that would be amazing. And then this one is also another pothos plant by Costa Farms. This one is a lemon meringue pothos. I just feel like with the lemon meringue pothos, you don't really get the best coloration unless you flood it with a lot of bright light. Same thing with the Neon Enjoy pothos. I think to really push out that variegation, that coloration, you're going to have to actually give it quite a bit of bright indirect light for it to really keep that stabilization. And you can even see, look at how cool that that green on green variegation on this lemon meringue pothos. This has a little bit of cosmetic damage. Now this is for $19.98. And if you're gonna ask me, like if I were to choose one plant and it wasn't going to be an Aglaonema, what other house plant I would grow if I can only have one plant, I would say just pothos plants. Any variety of pothos plants, I think that they make great house plants. They make great gifts. So, we talk about Christmas shopping, giving presents. I would say if you're gonna look for plants to give, pothos plants would be one of them. I would say, a Vanda orchid for $36.98 wouldn't be something I would give as a Christmas present because it's going to require a little bit more plant care than the average person who may not be into plants would be ready to actually commit to. And that's the thing about, giving plants as gifts, it's really, you want to be mindful about the person that you're giving a gift to, whether they really want to have that additional plant chore of having to water the plants, make sure that they don't get any plant pests, etc., etc. So as we do our Christmas plant shopping, or just Christmas shopping in general, I would just say be mindful about the person that you're potentially giving a plant as a gift. Now, if you're going to give me a Christmas gift, I would just say send me an Aglaonema, give me a Lowe's gift card. You know, I've told my family, as far as like Christmas presents, I don't really expect it, but if you're asking me what I would want, I would just say those big box store gift cards. That way I can fuel my plant addiction even more so without having to like jump into my finances. I mean, literally the last 2 months, I've spent more than a mortgage worth of money to buy plants. And, you know, I'm just thankful that a lot of our plant foldies have spent quite a bit of time supporting the channel, really just watching through and hitting the like button. So again, if you made it this far into the video, plant foldies, please make sure you hit the like button. Now, here is an Alocasia poly for $15.98 in a self-watering planter. I love the look of this Alocasia. I really do. I mean, look at the shape of the leaves, look at the veining, look at the undersides. There's a lot of leaf interest and a lot of things going on with this specific plant. The only problem I have with it is one of those Alocasias that tends to be a little bit more spider mite prone than the average Alocasia. I mean, Alocasias in general are spider mite magnets, but this particular one tends to get spider mites a little bit faster than most of the Alocasias. And you'll see that it is next to the classic Aglaonema red Siam. And then we also have this Calathea dotty. And now this is actually a trending tropicals Costa farm plant for $19.98, but it looks like somebody put it in an urban jungle terracotta planter. I do like the look of the terracotta planter. It's just got a very classic look. And then we are now looking at more of these Aglaonema red Siams. Here's the thing about the Aglaonema red Siams. If you give it quite a bit of light, I do think that the borders, like the red borders, are going to be more pronounced, are going to be a little bit thicker. And as far as this Aglaonema, it is a common basic plant. It's the same realm as, say, an Aglaonema Silver Bay, but I do just love the fact that it is just readily available for anybody to buy at a big box store. And for me, it is all about getting the plants to where they need to be in terms of adding them to your plant collection, you know, easy care plants. This is the fiddle leaf fig tree. We love this as well, or the Ficus lyrata, $15.98. And surprisingly, the one I found for 99 cents at Sprouts grocery store when it was being liquidated and on clearance actually has done very well for me. Now, this is another example of another Aglaonema. This is an Aglaonema red Siam again, but when you're plant shopping, especially for Aglaonema, look at how many plants or little babies that are shooting out. You'll get more for your money when you can see that there are multiple plants available. This one is a really good example of a full and has multiple plants. So if you pay $15.98, you're getting about 6 plants out of this that you can potentially separate. You know, when an Aglaonema is established in its pot, it starts to shoot little babies, and that's really how you propagate Aglaonemas. You can also propagate them through plant cuttings, but the best method is to actually separate the plants from the mother plant, or at least that's what I've seen in terms of just propagating more Aglaonemas. And I do recommend that anybody watching these plant shopping videos to really consider the Aglaonemas. And then we'll just keep looking at some of these live trend ceramic planters. You already know I feature this whenever I go to Lowe's. These are for $16.98, and this is another Philodendron heteroraceum neon. Look at that neon color. To get that neon color, I repeat, you have to make sure you are providing it with quite a bit of bright indirect light. Otherwise, it tends to be more of a darker green color. So if you want to maintain that neon color, you want to make sure that you're providing it with quite a bit of light. This is a large leaf Fittonia. This one is the pink wave. Look at how large the leaves are for a Fittonia plant. And, you know, as much as I want to buy this plant, or I bought it in the past, it's a plant that requires quite a bit of water. So like you have to stay consistent with the watering. It does get a little bit leggy when you don't provide it enough light. So this is just a plant that for me, it's just not going to work for my space. This is though for $20.98. This is another Costa Farms hanging basket. It's an 8-inch one. And, you know, for the price you pay for it, it's actually a pretty good sized plant. And I mean, I can't help but admire how beautiful the pink veining is. This is a large leaf form of a Fittonia plant. And, you know, this is another one that you can actually take cuttings now. It looks like you have a couple that you can actually take cuttings and propagate. And then, you know, as far as like a basic and easy to care for plant, we've got an African violet here, as well as a ZZ Zenzi plant for $18.98. Like, I need to go ahead and find a ZZ Zenzi plant. Now, what I like about the ZZ Zenzi plant is it's more of a compact version of a ZZ plant, so it doesn't get really large. It's more of like a dwarf size. And again, if you have like a space, maybe a desk or someplace that doesn't get necessarily enough light or nearly as much light, it can still tolerate living in that condition, which I absolutely love. And that's what makes ZZ plants easy, is because they don't require quite a bit of light and they're still pretty drought tolerant. You actually end up sending this plant to plant heaven when you overwater it. On a better note, you want to keep it more so on the drier side. You're less likely to send it to plant heaven. And that's another plant that I would recommend even as a plant gift for the holidays. So if you're looking to buy things as Christmas gifts, this would be a great Christmas gift. This Live Trends ZZ Zenzi for $18.98. You can see I picked up quite a bit of different types of anthurium and bird's nest fern, as well as that philodendron hederaceum by Urban Jungles. Now these are for $24.98 in the ceramic planters. Really like that as well. And as far as, you know, what we can get for the price you pay, it's not a bad price at all, especially with the terracotta planters. And can we talk about how cute this planter is by Live Trends? I really like the shape of the plant, and this is a very small ponytail palm, so it hasn't even gotten its trunk super thick yet. It looks like just ornamental grass. And then you can see that this is a bromeliad combination planter, so you've got a philodendron, no, sorry, I keep saying philodendron. It's actually a Dracaena Florida Beauty. Really love it. Unfortunately, I just haven't been able to keep that plant alive just because it does require a little bit more water, and I just don't water my plants nearly as much. Pachira aquatica, or the money tree plant, $18.98. I really like the stump version versus the braided forms. Let me know in the comments if you actually grow Pachira aquatica. My goal is to get another variegated Pachira aquatica. I ended up getting one, but I would really like one with more of the albo white variegation. That would be awesome. And then we have a ficus ginseng here for $18.98. And you can see that some of its trunk is actually cascading over the planter. Really nice, easy to care for plant if you're able to give it quite a bit of bright light. It is a ficus plant, so any ficus plant is going to require a little bit more light than the average plant. Either way, it's a pretty fast grower, which surprisingly for this ficus, you know, I would think that it wouldn't be. And then we also have another money tree plant here. I do like the winter, you know, holiday season theme planters that Live Trends has. And for $18.98, this would be a perfect present, a Christmas gift that you can potentially give to somebody this holiday season. Now, as far as all of the plants I've shown so far, plant foldies, let me know in the comments what you think, whether you would actually get you know, this Pachira aquatica as a Christmas gift, if you prefer to get plants as a Christmas gift, or do you like to choose your plants to add into your plant collection. Would love those insights. So if you get a chance, leave that in the comments. And if you haven't already and you made it this far, first of all, thank you so much for watching all the way to this part of the video. And then also, if you haven't already, please make sure you are hitting the like button for this video. Would really appreciate it. $15.98 for this calathea. Look at how the calathea just kind of is about to unfurl a new leaf. I love the look of calathea plants. Like the leaves are amazing. I just hate that they're one of the most challenging plants to grow in indoor space if you just don't stay on top of watering, as well as humidity levels, as well as like the quality of water. You know, calatheas, they get a little bit sensitive with the quality of water. Sometimes they don't do well with just tap water from the sink. Sometimes they prefer that purified distilled water. Otherwise, some of their leaf you know, edges would start to brown, and that's the thing about a finicky plant that requires just a little bit more care. That's what makes them a little bit more challenging to grow indoors. And you know, I'm just curious, like calatheas, marantha, stramanthes, nanthes, does anybody in the live chat or even just watching this video actually grow these long term? Leave it in the comments if you've had, say, a calathea for more than a year and a half. I'm just curious because I feel like a lot of us will end up getting a calathea, and within a month or two at the most, they end up just going to plant heaven because they end up just browning and getting crispy. So curious to see what that looks like for anybody. And you can see right here, I am just going to do a quick walkthrough outdoors. It is raining, it is cold, but I did want to show just a couple of the plants here. We're going to look at some of the Christmas trees, and we're just going to look at some of the outdoor plants. One thing that is super prevalent this time of the year alongside poinsettias, Norfolk pine would be, you know, live Christmas trees. And to the plant foldies that actually grow live Christmas trees or actually have them, thank you for some of the plant care tips. I saw that some people have left comments. I do love the smell of a live Christmas tree indoors. I just have never had one. And you know, I'm just curious to see what kind of live Christmas tree varieties you prefer to put in your homes. But you can see that this Lowe's has a bunch of those little arches because they are able to put blankets over if it's going to freeze over. So I like the fact that they have preventative measures. You know, things have been getting a lot cooler in North Dallas. There are plants in my backyard. Like, I already know that I'm going to have to part ways with a lot of my coleus plants. I had a huge coleus addiction. Like, I just wanted to collect every single coleus. But at this point, there's no way I can just bring all of them indoors. I just don't have the space, nor do I have the time. And that's the thing about growing plants outdoors, especially if you're meaning to keep them past the annual season. Sometimes you just have to come part ways with them. What I'm going to do though with my coleus plants is I'm going to take a couple of cuttings. That way I can at least kind of store them, root them, and then when it's warmer, I'll be able to just pot them up. You know, coleus plants are very fast growing plants. They're easy to propagate. Literally, you can take a cutting of a coleus plant, stick it in soil, and you have literally a 95% chance that that coleus cutting will root directly into soil. And I find that super impressive. Now, as far as all of the outdoors here, you can see they've got pine cones, you've got decorative Christmas ornaments. These are actually live ornaments right here. You can smell how fragrant they are. And I did want to just take a little bit of time to talk about some plant products, things like fertilizers and things that will help your plants grow better. Number one, I think everybody should always have a bottle of Super Thrive. $14.98. This is that B vitamin. So whenever you have plants that you've gotten from plant mail. Like if you've ordered plants online and you've been shipped, you want to water your plant with some B vitamin Super Thrive, because it does help de-stress them and rejuvenate the plant. And then as far as like fertilizer, liquid fertilizer, I like to go organic. So I love fish fertilizer. I think it's amazing. I would recommend any of the Fox Farm products. Unfortunately, big box stores don't typically carry them, but if you're able to buy them from Amazon, that's the fertilizers I use, as well as a Miracle Grow fertilizer. So the singles work. It makes it easy for you to just mix up that solution. And all of these liquid fertilizers, like the Quick Start, sometimes if I want to boost some of the plant nutrients, I put a very tiny eardrop full of that solution in water, and I'm able to water my plants. I water my plants with some type of fertilizer or nutrient solution, a very tiny amount. I feel like just having small amounts of fertilizer in each watering actually helps the plant grow. You know, you talk about over fertilizing plants. You'll know if you're over fertilizing plants, because either they start to get browning leaves, their leaves start to turn yellow. So for me, I feel like fertilizing in doses, small doses, is better. Less is more. You get really more out of it, because then the plant isn't stressed or is over fertilized. So that's just some of my tips. And then I did want to show you these Thenanthes. I thought that was really interesting that they had large forms of that. And that's the thing about Costa Farms. They have plants that they push out to big box stores, because there's many crops that they have. So that one is ready to go. And you can see Spathiphyllum. I'm actually tempted to buy a large form Spathiphyllum, because it's one of those easy care plants. It can tolerate lower light conditions. The only problem I have with the Spathiphyllum is it's going to need quite a bit of water. So I don't know if I necessarily want to put a plant that requires that much water consistently, because I am such an underwaterer, and I mentioned that pretty much in all my videos multiple times. I just wish I had the tenacity to really stay on top of the watering. And that's why I've made strides to move my substrates to semi-hydro, because then I don't have to necessarily worry about staying on top of the watering because of the self-watering planters. But as you can see in my plant foldies, all of these gorgeous plants, even though they don't have a full restock, there's still enough plants here to find one that you could possibly add to your plant collection. You know, there's just a lot of things going on this holiday season, but what I will tell you is this holiday season, you will see awesome plants. This is such a good plant find, the Neon Enjoy Pothos. And I am so excited to finally be part of the premiere for the Cultivation Corner Plant Podcast. For those that have been liking our reels for the trailers of the Cultivation Podcast, Corner Podcast on Instagram, thank you so much. You know, we encourage everybody to follow our Instagram page at the Cultivation Corner, to make sure you're actually subscribed with all the notification bell on for the Cultivation Corner official YouTube channel. That's where you'll get all of the other episodes. Tomorrow's episode is premiering on this channel, Grow Folds, and we would love to have a viewing party. We would love to have more than 100 people in the live chat. So please share that link. It's already uploaded, and we hope to see everybody at 7:30 Central Standard Time, Monday, December 9th. I did just want to pan over here just one last time to show you this little fixture with more Aglaonema red siam. You can see that the leaves here are a little bit redder than the typical Aglaonema red siam. I'm almost thinking this is like the red creta. This is for $15.98. So, you know, Costa Farms has kind of pushed the Aglaonema red siam as more of like a holiday plant. I would love to see more Aglaonemas just in the market in general. And, you know, for those that have actually purchased an Aglaonema due to my recommendation in the videos, please leave that in the comment section. Would really like to see what you think of the Aglaonemas you picked up. And this Monstera Deliciosa juvenile form, this one is for $24.98. I love how Monstera Deliciosas tend to have that natural shine to their leaves. Now, obviously, when I spray my plants with that neem oil spray, there is a beautiful like leaf shine about it. And then you can see over here, this is an example of another Aglaonema red siam that's got quite a bit of red in it. It's a beautiful plant. It's a plant that I always say recommend to anybody, because it's an easy care plant. Easy care plants, basic plants, inexpensive plants are the best. And I would say the Aglaonema is really one that encompasses, it pretty much has all those characteristics you would want in a plant. This one is an Alocasia poly again. We've got a Ficus burgundy right here. These are live transplants for $24.98. And look at how dark the foliage is. Love it as well. Rubber tree plants or Ficus elastica, they're fairly easy to grow, especially if you can provide them with quite a bit of bright light. The Ficus Audrey is a nice one as well. Love this plant. And this is another one that's a little bit slower growing for me. I ended up buying some from Costco, but it really hasn't pushed out a lot of growth. I don't know if it's because it just doesn't get enough light in my indoor space or what that looks like, but still, it's a beautiful plant and one that, I would still recommend. If you've liked this video today, again, please hit the like button for this video. It definitely helps me out, as well as subscribe to my YouTube channel at GrowFolds. Tomorrow is the big day for the Cultivation Corner Plant Podcast. We hope to see you at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'll see you then. Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at GrowFolds, and today we'll be big box store plant shopping at the Home Depot off of Garland Road in Dallas, Texas. As always, please make sure you are hitting the like button for this video, as well as following me on Instagram at GrowFolds. That is the fastest way to get in touch with me directly if you have any questions about plants or just want to connect with me in general. I know I haven't been able to get a couple of videos up the last 3 days. I have just been extremely busy with the holiday season. I haven't even had a lot of time to go Christmas shopping, so I was able to get some filming done early in the morning to see if I can find some plants that I could potentially do for some Christmas shopping, maybe some gift ideas. I always say that going to a big box store to go plant shopping is an ideal place to go find cheap and inexpensive plants, potentially to add to your plant collection or to give as a gift for anyone that wants a plant for the holidays. So, we've walked in here and we can see that there are a bunch of poinsettias. It is a holiday season. We have a bunch of these poinsettias. I would say with the poinsettias, right after the holidays or even right before Christmas Eve, which is literally about a week away, you can find these poinsettias to be like 50% off on sale. I am all about finding plants that are on sale, and you can see that we do have quite a bit of poinsettias to choose from. These are for $9.98. And the thing about poinsettias is, what I realized is that they definitely need quite a bit of light, as well as you need to make sure that all of their soil is it remains moist, because poinsettias tend to drop their leaves fairly quickly when their soil dries out for a long period of time. Now, as far as the color brackets, there is a process to get that color back, especially for the holiday season. I am not really versed into that. So if you know how to get poinsettias to get that coloration back, please leave that in the comments. And again, if you haven't already hit the like button for this video, please make sure you are hitting the like button. It definitely helps push this video out to more plant lovers like yourself. It definitely helps with the video engagement. And, as far as my goal, I'm still hoping that we can get to 12,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and that won't be possible unless you are watching these videos in its entirety, sharing these videos, and most importantly, just hitting the like button for this video. So I ask all my plant foldies, and if you are new to the channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. Welcome. My name is Richie. Hopefully you can help me out by hitting the like button. But you can see right here, before I go into the indoor tropical section, we are looking at a lot of these holiday plants. So one holiday plant we will see is an amaryllis. Really like this blooming bulb plant that are that's typically given as a gift. Basically, you get this bulb that's covered in wax. You just sit it in front of like a window that gets like bright indirect light, and it will just push a bulb. The bulb will just push out some new growth and then a bloom, and voila, you have a beautiful flower. Now, these are considered perennials when you plant them into the ground, into your landscape, or even in a potted up planter. So that's something that you can have come back year after year. So as far as the indoor tropical section, this is my very first time going to this particular big box store, this Home Depot out off of Garland Road. I was actually on my way to pick up plants from Peta's Planters, and you already know Peta's Planters is one of my favorite plant shops in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. This is where I am based at, and as far as like supporting small businesses, I absolutely adore Peta's Planters. Definitely check it out. They've got some pretty nice, rare, and uncommon Aglaonema. And if you are an avid viewer of my channel, you already know I absolutely love Aglaonemas. But in this this tropical section right here, it is a super full and really nicely merchandised big box store. This Home Depot has quite a bit of plants, easy care plants. Like this one is only for $7.98. This is a Sansevieria trifasciata, or also known as a snake plant. And with snake plants, they are considered to be easy to care for plants because they are low light tolerant and drought tolerant. Like for me, I literally wait for the snake plant to dry out completely and then wait another couple of days, maybe another 3 to 4 days before watering it completely. The fastest way to send a Sansevieria to plant heaven is to overwater them. And then obviously one of my favorite plants, I know it's a basic plant, it is an Aglaonema red Siam. This one is for $19.98 in a terracotta planter. I love how the morning light just hits the plants, and you can see that this Home Depot has just recently watered these plants. You can see that there's still water on top of them. And then here is another philodendron I like. This is for $19.98. This is a philodendron Moonlight. And with neon colored plants, as I've said in all of my videos, you really want to give it quite a bit of bright light in order for it to really hold on to that neon color. If you give it less light, it will become a little bit more green. Now, as far as philodendron Moonlight, that is another easy to care for plant. It's another plant I would recommend. That is one of those philodendrons that it doesn't really take much to care for. And you can see this is a ZZ plant, and it looks like this may have snapped off. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just put this ZZ plant back straight into soil, and perhaps it may actually end up rooting and propagating again. As far as sometimes plants losing their stems, you can just stick it back into the soil and it may just root itself again. Now, as far as this ZZ plant, which is also for $19.98, it is one of the easiest plants to take care of. I mentioned this in all of my videos, but as far as like a ZZ plant, it is considered a basic plant. It is a plant that a lot of people may overlook. It is a plant that is commonly available at big box stores, and perhaps that's the reason why a lot of people may not look at a ZZ plant. But if you're looking for a holiday plant or a Christmas gift to somebody that may not grow plants, a ZZ plant is a plant that I would recommend as a Christmas gift because it's an easy to care for plant. Pilea peperomoides, $19.98. This is a really cute looking UFO plant, another easy to care for plant. And what I love about this plant is it self-propagates. So it actually pushes out little babies, or what you call pups, that you can separate from the mother plant. Care tips would be bright indirect light again, water when the soil is completely dry, and that is basically it. This is another plant I would recommend if you're doing Christmas shopping as a holiday plant to give to a person that may not grow plants. So when you think about, gifting somebody a plant, you really have to be mindful about that person's daily routines, whether they're super busy with their job, whether they have the right lighting conditions in their home. So I always say to be on the safe side whenever you're giving a Christmas gift, especially when it comes to a plant, don't give a plant that's going to require quite a bit of care. So plants that, for instance, that need a lot of care would be plants that need quite a bit of light. Not every household has the best lighting conditions. Number two, a plant that needs to be constantly watered. If you have to water a plant consistently, say you give it to somebody that may have a really busy lifestyle, maybe they're always working or they just have other obligations aside from just taking care of a plant, I just wouldn't recommend it. As far as all of us, I would just assume that the majority of the viewers that watch my plant channel, my plant shopping video channel, it is, most of us are pretty much in tune with plants. Now, I do welcome anybody that has found my channel just through YouTube recommendations. I also love the fact that people may just be getting their plant journey. If you ever watch the Cultivation Corner plant podcast, our first episode was how to start a plant collection, and we go through the basic steps about it. And for those that actually tuned into episode 2, which is actually on Janae Simone's channel, so be sure to check it out if you didn't. We talk about holiday gifting, and that really is a little bit more in depth about things that most people would actually consider a gift a good gift to give over the holidays. But as far as gifts, for me, I've told my parents this before, my family, if you're going to give me a gift, big box store, gift cards are really good. Lowe's gift cards specifically, because then it can kind of like fund my plant budget. Growing plants, even though we're looking at all of this gorgeous greenery, for instance, at this Home Depot, it does cost money. I will say I've been too busy to even really go big box store plant shopping or even filming content, that I haven't spent a lot of money. Just a couple of updates on what's been going on with me personally. Work has been extremely busy. I'm really excited that the holiday season is about to come to an end. I'll be able to spend quite a bit of time with my family and friends. So I'm super excited that I'm definitely off on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So I'll be surprising my grandmother. So I'll be visiting her, and maybe I'll be able to do some plant content with her as well while I'm visiting her over the holidays. That's really what's been occupying myself. Now, as far as some of the feedback, I know that being part of the Cultivation Corner plant podcast, and for those that haven't seen the episode 1, definitely check it out. It is on my channel. Episode 2, will premiere or has premiered on Janae Simone's channel. Definitely check it out. And then the 3rd episode will be on Steven of I Live Plant. And then eventually the remaining episodes of season 1 will end up on the official Cultivation Corner YouTube channel. And I really urge all of our plant foldies to make sure that you subscribe to @Cultivation Corner YouTube official channel if you really want to listen to a plant podcast. So that's really what I've been occupied with, is the plant podcast work. And as far as people asking me why I am in a ski mask or just in a mask in general during the plant podcast, again, as I've stated in my previous videos, I prefer to do faceless YouTube. There's a lot of YouTubers out there that really focus more on the specific content versus actually being in front of the camera. It's not that I'm shy. It's not that I'm trying to hide anything. It's not any of that. I just feel like having a sense of mystery kind of brings a little bit of allure, number 1. Number 2, sometimes separation on social media, as far as getting too personal and having people recognize you out on the street, is something I'm choosing. Sometimes having that clear separation with maybe your social media presence plus your plant content, or just the content you're presenting, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. There are so many plant YouTubers, or just YouTubers in general. I've seen some people where they do daily blogs, but basically the only thing you can see is maybe the back of their head, maybe their neck, and you can pretty much see them except their face. I find that kind of content kind of interesting. It's interesting too that some people have been super blunt, and I take feedback, whether it's positive feedback, maybe negative feedback, with stride. I always try to be my most authentic self, and I know that I'm spending a little bit of time to kind of explain that. I think it's because I've gotten some negative feedback where some people have accused me of being disturbing, which really kind of hurts my feeling a little bit, because honestly, what is the difference between seeing my face versus seeing the plants and listening to me talk about the plant? So that's just kind of like some of my insights. I was talking to Janae and Steven, and they kind of agree, like, that's kind of my niche. And I just hope that people will respect my decision to just be faceless for now. I just kind of like to separate my social media presence versus my everyday life. There are some crazy instances where people kind of just get sucked in, being like, there's not a separation. Sometimes you want to just kind of live your life and then also create that content for those out there. I always believe in drawing the line in the sand on what you choose to share on social media and what you don't. That's really the nature of, I suppose, social media in general. There's some people that overshare on social media, and that sometimes isn't the best thing. That's one way of, I guess, having a little bit of a guardrail in terms of just my personal life, what I do outside of YouTube, what I do outside of work. It's kind of the same thing. So let me get off of my soapbox. But for those that continue to tune into my plant shopping videos, I really appreciate it. You already know, especially my original plant foldies. Thank you. And then for those that, offer really blunt feedback, I also respect that as well. But just know that as far as being faceless, it's really a choice. If anybody ever listens to the singer Sia, Plant Poppy has mentioned that I am kind of like the Sia of the plant YouTube world or plant community. You don't really know who I am or what I look like, but that kind of adds to the allure, or at least I do. I kind of find it hilarious that some people are so fixated on wanting to see me versus just listening to my voice and listening to my plant insights. I really think that is my niche. I would rather be that than versus me having to put myself out there all the way on social media. So I hope people understand that that is really the reasoning behind it. And I really think it's funny. I never really thought that, me wearing a mask or, me hiding my face behind a planter or a leaf was disturbing, but, maybe it might be, and maybe that, maybe this content is not necessarily for you. I do think that it really depends on your, what you want in terms of your plant content or the content you want. My intent is really to open up discussion about plants. For instance, like this golden pothos right here. Everybody needs to get a golden pothos. I like to discuss that. So let me get off my soapbox. I'm so sorry that I spent a little bit of time there, but it's just interesting that even though I haven't posted for about 3 days, I've gotten just a lot of feedback. And so I kind of just wanted to address that a little bit. And hopefully that gives you a little bit more clarity behind it. I mean, as far as like maybe meeting me at plant shops, plant nurseries, or even like plant shows, I am all about it. I've taken pictures with plant foldies. I've met plant foldies in person. So it's just a little bit different though when it is in front of a camera where it kind of becomes more of a center of attention in that sense. So anyways, as far as the plants right over here, you can see that I do like to fixate on the golden pothos and just epipremnum in general. As far as Home Depot, this particular Home Depot has a lot of large foliage plants. For instance, this Ficus elastica burgundy really love the dark foliage. Now, the thing about ficus plants is you have to give it quite a bit of light. Sometimes they are a little bit drought tolerant, but really you want to stay on top of the watering. If you're able to provide them with higher humidity levels, they do a little bit better. They're a little bit more vigorous in their growth. But if you want to have that dark foliage, for instance, you definitely want to provide quite a bit of bright light on the Ficus elastica burgundy. It's the same thing with the Taniki. It's the same thing with the Ruby. With ficus plants in general, they are just a little bit more vigorous or a little bit more healthy when you mix in bright light as well as humidity. Now, as far as the Dracaena Riki, which I like, it's a little bit more of a narrow form Dracaena. This one is only for $19.98. I like it in a 10-inch planter. I think that is a really good price for a very easy to care for plant. What makes the Dracaena Riki an easy to care for plant is, again, it is low light tolerant and drought tolerant. It is a moderate grower. I wouldn't say that it's definitely not a slow grower. It can get to pretty large foliage, so it can get to a pretty large size. So if you have a dark space in your home and you want a plant that doesn't really require quite a bit of light or watering, this is a plant for you. I think it's a beginner plant. I think it's an easy to care for plant, and it is a cost-effective, inexpensive plant to add in your plant collection. Aglaonema Nicole. So I finally got the actual plant ID for this. You already know I love Aglaonema. If you are a plant foldy, please leave it in the comments if I've been able to influence you in possibly buying an Aglaonema. Aglaonemas come in so many different colors and varieties. Now, big box stores like Home Depot, Lowe's, and Walmart will most likely carry the more green versions. Like this Aglaonema Nicole, what I love about it is obviously the middle of the leaf is got the more silver foliage, and then you have that dark green border around it. This plant can get fairly large, and what I love about this Aglaonema is, again, low light tolerant and fairly drought tolerant. I wouldn't really push the envelope with Aglaonemas. I will say overwatering an Aglaonema is the fastest way to send it to plant heaven. It does have fairly thick roots. It's almost succulent in a sense because it can pretty much hold that much water. I've gotten away with like not watering an Aglaonema this size for about an entire month, and it's been able to like still survive and do well. Aglaonema Silver Bay, probably the most common Aglaonema. There's a debate whether it's Aglaonema Silver Bay or the Aglaonema Red Siam, whichever one you're into. Now, Aglaonema Silver Bay definitely tends to be more of the larger leaf Aglaonema. It is a common one, but common isn't a bad thing. And that's one of the intent of this channel, is to really get people excited about these readily available plants, these plants that are inexpensive, these plants that are going to bring you joy because they're easy to care for plants. Now, if you agree with me about Aglaonemas or easy to care for plants being in your plant collection, or at least being the staple of your plant collection, please leave that in the comments. And if you made it this far into the videos, plant foldies, and you haven't hit the like button, could you please hit the like button? I know that I've repeat myself multiple times, but I would love for you to support this channel by hitting the like button, as well as giving your insights about just the plants you're seeing in my plant shopping videos, any plant stories, anything you want to share about plants. A lot of this YouTube plant shopping video channel of mine is really centered around a lot of our plant foldies being able to share, what's going on with their plant collection, that sense of community, especially during the live premiere chats. I do want to shout out a couple of people that have always been on the live premiere chats. Bella from Houston, Kathy from Canada, Evelyn from Trinidad and Tobago, and just all of my plant foldies from Canada and just everywhere else. There's so many of you guys that it's a long list. So just know that seeing you guys, especially on days where I might be a little bit late to premiere a live premiere, and you're still on the chat, I really appreciate that. I hope everybody is actually having a great holiday season. For me, the holiday season is super peak for my career. It's one of those very stressful times, but overall, I would say let's just, take it back a little bit in terms of what the holiday season means to you. For me, the holiday season means just having that sense of community, whether it's with your friends, your family, or even your social media community, especially like say on YouTube. Like, I want to celebrate Christmas with y'all if you celebrate Christmas, or in general, I just want to celebrate the holidays with you guys. We are about 7 days away from Christmas Eve. And to me, just being able to be alive, to be able to share this plant content, to be able to show you these awesome Aglaonema silver bay. You can see that there's the large one and you can see the baby one for $14.97. Just having that privilege to talk to you directly, to be able to get excited about plants, and just to be able to listen to me talk to you about my passion and why I love plants, why people love plants in general. That's really exciting. And as far as the Cultivation Corner plant podcast, I did want to thank Janae Simone and Steven of I Live Plants. They have grown to be really good support systems, really good friends of mine in terms of just plants in general. And just these two individuals are just awesome people. And I am just really thankful that in 2024, I've been able to consistently produce, plant shopping videos, 1 hour plant shopping videos. I was really good about doing it daily, but I've kind of scaled back a little bit just because things have gotten a little bit busy. And when you think about it, and I know that I'm sharing a little bit more personal things about myself without having to put my face. Sorry guys, again, this is a faceless YouTube channel. I will say one thing that a lot of us have to practice, especially myself, is mindfulness. Really being able to detach ourselves from maybe say social media and really be in the moment with the people that you see in your everyday life in real life. I know that there is a huge plant community out there. I know that the plant foldies are amazing, but just think about all of the people you see on a daily basis. Just be thankful that you see them. For me, being able to surprise my grandmother, she doesn't know that I'm going to visit her for Christmas Eve and spend some time with her. It's really important for me to have that dialogue with my grandmother, to really just enjoy the moment. I know that she and I really enjoy plants. Perhaps I might be able to get a little bit of plant content with her. We'll see what that looks like. I know she's quite popular with y'all and she loves all of the comments. Thank you guys again for being so supportive to my grandmother. But this holiday season, I know that Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, I might have some videos already scheduled. But if I slow down a little bit over the holidays next week, it's because I really want to spend a little bit of time with my family definitely a little bit more time because I hardly see them. You know, my sister lives out in North Dallas as well, and it's nice to see her and her kids. My brother flew down from California, and so he's here with me this week, and we've been spending quite a bit of time. He does think it's crazy though, because every time I go to, he visits me out in North Dallas, he sees my plant collection grow. And the thing about it is, whenever you're doing big box or plant shopping like this, for instance, like you can see all of these pothos plants, it is just challenging for anybody. And I agree, everybody who watches this YouTube channel, I would venture out to say that even these basic plants right here that you see, you would be tempted to purchase. And I want to try to downsize my plants, but it's really challenging when you find really good plant pricing at a big box store like Home Depot, for instance. Whenever it's the holiday season, at least a lot of us tend to spend a little bit more money or tend to spend out of our budget. I could even tell you that within the last 3 months, I probably spent way more money than I have. But then when I go back to like the amount of money I've spent on my plants, I don't regret it because they do bring me joy. I will say, as I pivoted a little bit toward more of a curated plant collection, the majority of my plants that I'm purchasing at a big box store or even just importing would be Aglaonemas because of the easy care. And, you know, I'll spin around here and show you this. All of these Aglaonemas, like you can see, we've got an Aglaonema Silver Bay, we've got Aglaonema Nicole, we even have an Aglaonema White Rain. All of those plants I would add to my collection, and that size is a really good size for the price that you're going to pay. Now over here, when I spin around, you can see how like this is a reason why I like to go plant shopping in the morning, or at least film in the morning, because the light is amazing. And just like going late evening plant shopping, in the morning there's not as much traffic in terms of the people you see. And you can see my shadow here, so if you really want to have an idea of what I look like, you can kind of see my shadow. I wear a faux hawk, etc., etc. I still just find it really interesting that some people are really fixated on as to why I don't show my face on YouTube. Again, it is a faceless YouTube. I love being faceless. I love being kind of like Sia, and I love the fact that there is an air of mystery. Maybe that it might, you know, some people will say that that kind of excludes people from really getting to know me. But for me, it's all about, you know, those context clues, what I choose to share with you, my viewers and subscribers, and what I choose to keep to myself. And overall, I'm all about just talking about the plants. It's really the main subject of it. Now, if you watch Cultivation Corner, you will see a little bit more of me except my face, and you'll see a little bit more of my personality and just my mannerisms on the plant podcast show. I will say too, for Cultivation Corner, if you are interested in just listening to the podcast version, we are on Spotify. And so as you do your plant chores, I know that a lot of y'all actually listen to my videos or play my videos while you're doing your plant chores, or you just let it play. I appreciate that. So you can kind of consider this my own personal podcast, because I literally will talk to you guys for a straight hour. I won't lose my voice because I haven't been doing a lot of content lately, and surprisingly over the holiday season, sometimes I get a little bit under the weather. Things have been really good for me this year in terms of the holiday season. Now, as far as the plants that I'm showing you, you can see that it is beautiful out here. You can see we've got some Hoya carnosas. Those are for $14.97. And we have, I wouldn't say Costa Farms, I'm sorry. You can see that Nature's Way has these combination planters of a Dracaena plus a Calathea rospicta. Now, here is what's interesting about this combination. The Dracaena is super easy. The Calathea rospicta is really challenging because you have to keep the soil a little bit more moist. You have to water a little bit more frequently. You need to give it a little bit more humidity. And truthfully, Calatheas are a little bit finicky when it comes to your water source. Like if you water Calatheas with some tap water or hard water, sometimes the minerals will actually crisp up the leaves versus like distilled or purified water. Now this one is for $39.99, and honestly, that is a really good price. I wouldn't necessarily recommend a full-blown mixed planter like this size to give as a Christmas gift. You know, if you're going to look for a Christmas gift, when it comes to plants, it's actually on sale for $29.98. So that's not a bad price. I would tell you, buy plants that are either like 4-inch planters, maybe 6-inch planters, because they're a manageable size. Any larger plants, especially for those that don't grow houseplants in their homes might be be overwhelming. Now, if you're going to gift somebody a plant that's already a plant collector, what I would tell you is get to know what plants that they gravitate to. So if somebody were to ask, hey Richie, what kind of Christmas gift would you want if it were to be a plant? I would tell you I would want the Aglaonema crown of Siam, Aglaonema Siam, Aurora tricolor. Those are like the plants I want. Now, obviously, if you Google search the plant pricing, they are in the thousands. So I don't expect somebody to spend thousands of dollars on a plant collection. But what I mean is get to know the plant collectors like niche of plants that they usually gravitate to. For me, it's definitely Aglaonemas. You can already tell that every single video I have probably posted in the last month, I've talked about Aglaonemas. And I think it's because Aglaonemas are really not overrated. They are highly underrated. They are not talked a lot about on social media or YouTube. Like, yes, we have some YouTubers that show Aglaonema collections. Yes, there are really big YouTubers that even agree with me that Aglaonemas are very underrated plants. But when you compare an Aglaonema, for instance, to an Anthurium, for instance, or a variegated philodendron of some sort, or a variegated monstera, the variegated monstera is probably going to get more views, more engagement, more hits. And I've noticed that even with anthuriums, that's the case versus, say, an Aglaonema. And if you ask me, Aglaonemas are really beautiful. And I don't know, I'm just really confused about why a lot of people are not really into Aglaonemas, because they're low light tolerant and drought tolerant. I know I sound like a broken record when I talk to you guys about it in my plant shopping videos, but I'm just really curious. I really want to open that dialogue. So for anybody listening to my plant shopping video today, I would really ask if you can leave in the comments why you like Aglaonemas, or better yet, why you don't really necessarily like Aglaonemas. I love that commentary, and pretty much respond to any comments that are added to my plant shopping videos, whether it is, positive or slightly negative. I kind of, addressed a little bit about the faceless YouTube. That's the reason why. And, it's one of those things where I find it interesting whenever people share their thoughts and feelings on social media. I always tell people, social media, always remind yourself that whenever you are commenting, messaging, or texting somebody on social media, think about, the things that you would say. Would you say it in front of them? Would you say it in front of their face? Or would you hide behind, a name on social media? I always say, think before you click, practice, some type of, some type of social, boundaries, because I've seen some crazy comments happen, not just on my channel, but just on other social media platforms, where people are bluntly critical of people. I've seen people really like tear down people's like plant collections, and just, even the expectation of maybe a plant YouTuber, having to put that content out. I was having a discussion actually with some of my friends who also create plant content, and the expectation sometimes is not always realistic. And in terms of, say, like I've always talked about doing a houseplant tour, my concern is, say I do a houseplant tour, do I disappoint the viewers because maybe I don't have the most curated or most rare collection? I do want to present some really good content in terms of like a houseplant tour. I want to make sure that number one, my place is organized. And number two, I need to clean my leaves at least. And number three, I might try to strive to have those perfect plant collections that a lot of those bigger YouTube content plant influencers do with their houseplant tours, but that takes a little bit of time. That's why it's easier for me to just go big box or plant shopping. That's another question I've been asked, is why I like to do big box or plant shopping videos. And it's because it's readily available for me to just go into a big box store. The Dallas-Fort Worth metropolitan area has so many selections and big box stores to choose from, and big box stores in general give you really good plant pricing. Like right now, I'm spending a little time showing you all of the Leaf Joy series by Proven Winners houseplants. Now these are for $5.98. I've collected all of the Hoyas, for instance, that Leaf Joy Proven Winners Plants has released. And you know, the thing about Proven Winners again is they did actually release that Dock Block Anthurium Michelle, which yes, I would say I followed a plant trend by trying to search for it. Like, I really want to give it to one of my friends, but the thing about it is my friend mentioned that they really don't have the time or care needs that they can provide for an Anthurium Dock Block Michelle. So for now, it's actually been transferred into Lechuza Pond. So it's a semi-hydro substrate, and I'm going to be growing out the Dock Block Anthurium Michelle by Proven Winners. I was really thankful I was able to find it. It was actually fun to go search for it. And, you know, for those that actually grow anthuriums, leave in the comments what you love about anthuriums. Is it the crossbreeding and hybridization from seed? Is it the leaf shape? What is it about anthuriums? For me, I think growing anthuriums is a challenge, and when I'm able to grow an anthurium to get really large leaves, that is what's most satisfying for me. Now, as far as all of the Leaf Joy H2O bowls, for instance, like these ones I think are for $29.98. This one is a Philodendron Macaulay's Finale, and I do like straight hydroponic plants as well, where basically you're growing the plant in straight water. The thing about growing plants in hydroponics, just straight water, you have to provide the plant with some plant nutrients. So you can't just expect the plant to grow its full potential by just putting water, because the plant still needs the nutrients. And so being able to mix that plant nutrient solution is really vital. I say if you are going to put a plant nutrient solution, I would go even half or a quarter of the dose on hydroponics, so that way you're not over fertilizing or giving the plant too much nutrients to the point where it makes the leaves yellow or even burns the roots. But as far as like, I guess the Proven Winners Leaf Joy series, absolutely love it. I love their little H2O bowls. I know they're on sale, like the smaller ones for $9.98, which to me, if you're going to ask me if it's a good Christmas present to give to somebody who doesn't have a plant, I would say yes, because it's a little bit more personalized. It's a little bit more unique in the way it's growing. And really, all you have to do is change the water. You might give them suggestions on how to create some more plant nutrient solution. It's super easy. I use Fox Farm fertilizers, and I mix them at a quarter of a dose, and it's really worked well for me. A lot of my plants are actually being converted into semi-hydroponics. So any plants that I've actually gotten as of late, I have either moved them to Lechuza Pond, which unfortunately on Amazon is out of stock. So if you are in the DFW area and you're able to get me to Lechuza Pond, I will pay for it. Or, I use the more inexpensive or cheaper alternative, which is using leca balls, which I can buy from IKEA. Now, as far as fertilizers, I like to show plant products. Like this one is for $29.97. This is fish fertilizer. And what I like about fish fertilizer is, number one, it is an organic source. Number two, the solution that you put, it's a natural solution. So it actually helps the plant, uptake the nutrients where it's not just chemical based. And I really like that about that. Now, I used to grow a bunch of like fancy goldfish, and I use fish water. I think that would be the best. But for now, if you want to water your plants with fish fertilizer, that is a good brand, Miracle Grow. And I know some people have like various opinions about Miracle Grow. For me, the Miracle Grow all-purpose fertilizer works very well. You can either do half dose of what it asks for. And as far as Miracle Grow, it's super inexpensive. It is cheap. It is great for the budget. And if you're trying to manage your finances, that's some of the plant products I would recommend. And then also Osmocote. Osmocote is a slow release fertilizer that you can put in your substrates, whether it is soil, like mixing it with the actual soil substrate, or even just sprinkling it on top of the surfaces of your substrates. Osmocote is a slow release fertilizer. If you follow directions, it will not over fertilize your plant, and it will not burn your plant. Super Thrive is one of the best plant nutrients that you can put in your plant collection, as well as this Garden Take Root. If you're trying to do cuttings and do straight soil propagations, that's a good little product that you can use. But Super Thrive, I love Super Thrive, and that's for $15.47. It is that B vitamin. So whenever I repot a plant, whenever I transfer a plant from a substrate from soil to say semi-hydroponic like Lechuza Pond or Leca, I always mix a little bit of that B nutrient nutrient solution and water the plant because it really does revive the plant. It gives it a little bit more vigor. Whenever I get plants, say from Indonesia, like those Aglaonemas, I will let the roots soak in water for at least 24 to 48 hours, maybe 72 hours in a Super Thrive nutrient solution, and it really does wonders for the plant. But as far as this Home Depot, again, plant foldies, beautiful lighting. You can see we've got some Sansevierias here. These are large ones, again, for $19.98. And there's just so many plant products to pick from. I do like Home Depot in a sense that Home Depot is basically the home of proven winner plants. I have yet to see proven winner plants make it into Lowe's or even really Walmart. And you can see right here, proven winners is on sale right now. You can buy a lot of these plants for either 50% off or get a pretty good deal. You can see that Proven Winners has actually released a lot of these new house plants. I love the fact that there were some Monstera Thai constellations for only $15.98. Now, if you're thinking about like giving somebody a Christmas plant or a Christmas present and it's a house plant, you could get a Monstera Thai constellation. It's got some nice variegation. The only thing is, just like any Monstera deliciosa or Monstera plant, it does get fairly large. So you have to really look at the space for the person that you're giving the plant to. I wouldn't recommend something like this Calathea. And Calatheas in general, I don't want to say I hate Calatheas. Truth be told, I absolutely love Calatheas. Like, I am obsessed about Calatheas, like looking at their foliage, looking at their color. But just like Hydra Helix, or the correct way to say it is Hedera helix or English ivy, these are plants that I obsess about. I absolutely adore. I absolutely love. But these are plants that always break my heart. And they break my heart because they have beautiful foliage. And, I try to give them the best care. But it's kind of like, liking somebody and giving them that much love, but they don't always return the same type of love and care that you would give. That's really how I equate Calatheas and even the Hedera helix. But as far as like plants like this, for instance, this Ficus elastica. Now this one is for $19.98 by Proven Winners Leaf Joy. As far as Proven Winners Leaf Joy, that is one of the major nurseries in terms of like just plants in general. I would say Proven Winners is really known more so for the outdoor gardening plants, but in recent years, they have really upped their selection of indoor tropical plants or house plants. Like, I love the quality of Proven Winners plants. I think that they push out really healthy plants. I feel like their plant pricing is fair, and they always have varieties that you may not necessarily see from, say, Costa Farms. And Costa Farms is one of the premier big box store plant nursery providers. But like, as far as Leaf Joy series, Proven Winners, I would love to be able to like continue to promote their plants, see what types of house plants that they have as far as new releases. I know this year they've had quite a bit of new releases, and I think the biggest trending plant would be the Dock Block Anthurium Michelle, but also just some of the other plants that they have. They had some really cool Dieffenbachia, and I'm hoping that I can find some of their more new releases. This is a Calathea that is in hydroponic, and as far as like Calatheas growing in straight water, I thought it would actually make it easy, but my Calathea ended up getting spider mites despite being in water. And so that's the thing about Calatheas. Not only are they finicky, but they're also a little bit more pest prone. And so I don't know, like, somebody in the comment section, please leave in the comments if you have been able to grow Calatheas long term. I ask that question pretty much in all my videos because I'm really curious. Or are Calatheas really more of like a seasonal temporary plant? You talk about plants that are really just growing for the season. You think about poinsettias, for instance, during Christmas or the holiday season, Norfolk pine. Let me know in the comments. Now, as far as like the Hoya, so these are newly released Hoyas. This is Hoya Adrift by Proven Winners Leaf Joy. This is for $5.98. And then this one right here is another type of Hoya. This is a Hoya Kelp Grove, which really is a Hoya Wyetii, or a variegated Hoya Wyetii, also known as a Hoya Quintiana. I think that's really the same plant. Leave in the comments, especially for my Hoya heads. For those that love Hoyas, let me know if I got the correct plant ID. What I will say about Hoyas is they're really easy to take care of as far as plants are concerned. Super forgiving, as in like, if you don't water your Hoya for a long period of time, you can still revive it, because for some reason Hoyas are just forgiving. Now these beautiful Syngoniums right here, this is Cupid's quiver. It's so interesting how like Proven Winners Leaf Joy has like really interesting names for these plants. Like this almost looks like Syngonium Pink Perfection. The thing about Syngoniums is they're beautiful plants. People will say they're easy to care for plants. I wouldn't necessarily say they're the easiest plant to take care of, especially if you are somebody like me that underwaters my plants. Like as in, I sometimes let my plants have drought spells where their soil is bone dry for like a week or two. Don't do that to a Syngonium. Do not do that to a Syngonium. If you let a Syngonium dry out completely for like 3 days, that's when you start to see the leaves start to like wilt and crisp up, and then it gets leggy, and it's just really hard to revive a Syngonium. They really prefer to be on more of the moist, consistent side. I wouldn't say overwater them, but they definitely like to be on the moist side. Now these Proven Winner plants, these Leaf Joy series, like that is another Hoya carnosa, a speckled freckle, I think it's what it's called. We have some Ficus elastica tanikis here, and this one again is for $19.98. This one is in a 5.5-inch planter, so it's not the largest version, but as far as Proven Winners, again, they just have some really nice selections of plants. I don't mind rubber tree plants or these plants. Like this one right here is a Ficus elastica Chloe. So it's like a more green version of a rubber tree. But what I like about it is it has a more rounder shaped leaf. Care tips for it again is bright indirect light, lots of bright indirect light. Stay consistent with the watering. Like you can let it dry completely, but make sure you water it, soak it with water, and let it get a good drink. Now, as far as this Ficus elastica ruby, you can see that it's got some nice like reddish tone about it. The thing about Ficus elastica ruby is in order to really maintain that coloration, and this is so beautiful, this one is for $29.98. This is in a 6-inch planter. You really have to make sure that you provide it with a lot of light. Otherwise, it's not going to have as much of the red ruby tone. And then this is an Alocasia cuculata. As far as like Proven Winners Leaf Joy, again, the series has really produced a lot of these different types of Alocasias. Now this cling on over the edge Ficus benjamina, I bought it, and the thing about it is this plant will shed and drop its leaves if you do not water it consistently or give it quite a bit of light. Unfortunately, mine made it to plant heaven. I did get it on sale for $15.98. But if you were to ask me of the 3 plants that I just picked, as far as like what plant I would give as a Christmas gift or a holiday gift, I would definitely pick the Ficus elastica ruby in the middle, just because it is not as finicky as, say, an Alocasia, where you have to stay on top of the watering. They are a little bit more spider mite prone, and sometimes the lighting, they also need a little bit of lighting. And then the Ficus benjamina, like I just wouldn't recommend it. And you can see that I am pouring some of the water out. It looks like they overwatered some of these plants, like this Ficus elastica taniki, for instance. With Proven Winner Leaf Joy plants, they're either in a catch pot or a basket that doesn't have a drainage hole. So whenever the big box stores like water them, whether it's through a hose or a sprinkler, they sometimes hold a little bit of water. And it's been interesting how some people have commented whenever plant YouTubers will go to a big box store and they see that a plant's been overwatered, our natural inclination is to try to save the plant from root rot by just pouring out the water. And so that's the reason why you will see me do that. But as far as like all of the Proven Winners plants, love it, and I would love to continue to promote Proven Winners Leaf Joy plants. I'm hoping that I can maybe do a collaboration with Proven Winners, especially when it comes to their houseplants, because they have gorgeous plants. I love the fact that they're available at big box stores, and you can even see this plant right here, that green shield. I was able to get a really large version of it, and that's another plant that some people say is hard to grow, but for me it's actually fairly easy because it lets me know when it needs to be watered. Now this Thenanthe plant right here, I ended up buying on clearance at Lowe's, for instance, 50% off, and it's actually done very well for me. I let it dry out completely. Sometimes I don't water it as consistently, but for some reason, this Thenanthe, which is really like a Stramanthe, a Calathea type plant, or a prayer, like a Marantha, you would think that it would be finicky and like actually crisp up, but it's actually forgiving. And that green on green or that yellow variegation is absolutely stunning. I would actually purchase that plant for $29.98 if I didn't have one already. Luckily, I got mine on clearance where I ended up getting it for like $9.98, and it's actually the same size as this. Now, as far as the plant care tips, again, I would say water this plant consistently, keep the soil moist. So like as soon as it's about 60% dry, you can water it again. Like make sure you do a really good watering. And as far as humidity, if you're able to give it higher humidity, it's going to do better. And then as far as propagation, whenever it starts to get a little bit larger, you can actually just take cuttings and propagate it in water, and you'll be able to get some more free plants. Like that's another thing when it comes to like, I guess, managing your finances, managing your plant budget. Propagation is one way to really increase your plant collection without having to break the bank with your spending. Philodendron gloriosum. I love this philodendron. It's a velvety texture one. And what's interesting is I actually bought a proven winter leaf joy, Philodendron gloriosum, and it started to mutate. Like some people say that it's like mosaic disease, but I feel like it's a sport variegated one. I will have to show our plant foldies what I mean. And what I'm hoping is it'll continue to push out that variegation. It's on like the fourth leaf where it's still variegated. So I'm hoping that I can propagate and see if I can hold on to that variegation, or whether that variegation will remain stable through some of my propagations. So we'll see. That's what's also fun about, big box store plants is sometimes you'll get lucky and find a rare plant find, a really good price, or a sport variegated plant. Now over here is one of my favorite philodendrons. This is for $29.98. This is a philodendron silver sword, and philodendron silver sword has to grow on a totem pole or a moss pole if you really want to see the leaves get larger and really see the full potential of the plant. I mentioned this in the plant podcast of the Cultivation Corner, episode 1. If you haven't already, definitely check it out on my YouTube channel. The first episode is there. You definitely want to check out, the second episode, which is on Janae Simone's channel. But whenever I talked about plant care, like actually starting a plant collection, and you're not really sure about the plant needs in terms of its environment, do a Google search or just a search online about the plant in its natural environment. See if you can find a picture of it, because if you see a picture of the plant in its native environment, it'll give you an idea of whether the plant is an understory plant where it likes to have a little bit more shade, whether it's a plant that wants to be in full sun, whether the soil substrate needs to be a little bit more chunky or a little bit more moist. There's a lot to say about the plant's natural habitat, because for instance, every single plant that you see at a big box store, a local nursery, a small business plant shop like Peta's Planters, for instance, or something of that nature, all of these plants are sourced out from a natural source somewhere in the world. So just knowing the natural environment of the plant is really helpful, or at least I feel like it is. Like Hoyas, for instance, are actually endemic and native to Southeast Asian countries. So you can already tell that as far as Hoyas, they like, that bright indirect light, but they also like that humidity. I have been corrected, or at least told, that it doesn't necessarily mean that a Hoya will not bloom if you don't give it fertilizer or humidity. But I've been told that if you do provide them with those ideal conditions, it may actually prompt the Hoya to bloom. I have yet to see any of my Hoyas bloom. I think that would be amazing. And with Hoyas, whenever they bloom, they actually have different types of fragrant smells. Like I know, for instance, the variegated Hoya compacta, or what you call the variegated Hindu rope Hoya, whenever it's in bloom, the pink blooms are beautiful, but it has like a vanilla or white chocolate smell about it. It's really fragrant. And I just love featuring Aglaonema red Siam. This is again for $19.98, and it is one of my favorite plants. And yes, it is a basic plant, but It's so easy to take care of. If you are a plant foldie or call yourself a plant foldie, let's all make sure to buy an Aglaonema red Siam. And actually, I was super tempted to buy this, $18.98. This particular bromeliad, because look at the edges of the leaves. It's got that dark foliage, and you can see how it's super overwatered. I went ahead and got rid of the water, so hopefully somebody will pick this up, bring it to a really nice home. But I love the coloration of it. Look at that. I find it interesting. I like dark foliage plants, but that red, that pink, that dark chocolate border is really stunning. That's the thing I'm proud of, is even though I could buy this plant, I could afford it, I don't necessarily feel like that impulse buy is going to really do any favors for me. Like, I also want to buy this Aglaonema red Siam, even though I've already gotten 3 in my plant collection. But, these 2 plants, for instance, if I were to maybe buy a Christmas present for myself, I would definitely pick these 2 plants up. Again, that one is for $18.98. This this bromeliad, for instance, and then the Aglaonema red Siam for $19.98. Just tell that I really love looking at that bromeliad. And then this is another nice plant I would actually recommend as a Christmas gift or a holiday gift. This is another Dracaena for $14.97. Really love that green on green variegation again. And with this plant, it can get to a pretty large size, but what I love about it is, yes, it's a common plant. Yes, most people would equate this plant as a plant that you would see at a business, a corporate office, but it is a plant that I feel like has some really nice leaf interest and can get to a pretty good size. It's an easy to care for plant. Again, it is low light tolerant and a little bit more drought tolerant. You don't have to water it nearly as much, which makes it an easy to care for plant. And for $14.97, that is not a bad price for this plant at all. So I'm just going to keep showing you some more of the plants that are available at this Home Depot. See that we've got some rattlesnake calatheas, Aglaonema silver bay. All of these plants are by Nature's Way, and these are for $10.98 in a pink planter like this. Now, say if this pink planter was more of a matte finish with no texture, I would totally be about it. I'm really not into textures or really shiny glazes when it comes to mixed planters or just planters in general. I prefer the more modern, simplistic look because I feel like that just accentuates the actual plant. Now, as beautiful as these Calathea lancifolias or rattlesnake calatheas, they are still a challenging plant. It is a common calathea, and that's the thing that makes calatheas very frustrating, is because they have such beautiful foliage, but they're just so challenging to grow. And then you can see right here, I'm going to just pan over and show you some of these assorted succulents and cactus. Basic care tips for succulents and cactus is, again, put them in substrates that are fast draining soil. And then also you need to make sure that you are giving it quite a bit of light. It's just part sun, but I would say bright indirect light, maybe full sun, depending on the plant. And then I'm going to spin around here. So it looks like this whole shelf by Proven Winners Leaf Joy series are some of the new releases that they have. I'll talk a little bit about them, and then we'll recap the final part of this video. But you can see here they've got quite a bit of these new Leaf Joy plants by Proven Winners. These are all for $29.98. They're in 6-inch planters. So you can see right here we've got the Calathea leopardina, I think that's what you call it. Really nice looking plant. And then again, $29.98. You know, for a Calathea, you just have to really stay on top of the watering. I would say as far as pest control, maybe spraying it with like a pest preventative spray like neem oil spray. One plant product I would recommend would be the Wild Neem Oil Spray, or you could do the neem oil DIY spray that I use for my plants, which is basically taking a spray bottle, a conventional spray bottle, putting 2 tablespoons of rubbing alcohol, 70% or 90% strength, 2 tablespoons of hydrogen peroxide, 2 tablespoons of cold pressed neem oil spray, a drop of dishwashing soap, put water in it, shake, and you have an instant neem oil spray that is really cost effective as well. You can see this is another beautiful alocasia. And again, with alocasias, if you put them in the right substrate, I would say Lechuzapon really makes it easy for me to grow them. They do very well. And then you can see over here, we've got even more plants. We've got some philodendron silver sword. We've got a alocasia cucullata. And, as far as philodendron silver sword, I wouldn't mind getting it from Proven Winners Leaf Joy because it does have a support moss pole type thing that it's going to actually let the plant climb up and grow up. And, as the plant climbs on a pole or moss pole, its leaves get larger and larger. And that silver foliage is absolutely stunning. Philodendron silver sword used to be a really expensive plant, but as it has become more readily available, especially at big box stores, the price is fair. I would even say that a philodendron silver sword would make a good plant to give as a Christmas gift over the holidays because it's an easy to care for plant. It's one of those philodendrons that are not really finicky. I would say philodendrons that have more of a velvety texture, like a philodendron gloriosum. Those types of philodendrons tend to be a little bit more challenging to grow versus a philodendron silver sword. Alocasia cucullata for $29.98 is beautiful. Really like the look of that as well. And it is another alocasia, though. Alocasias, you have to really be more mindful about the plant care tips because they can be finicky plants. And then you can just see right here, $5.98. We've got a Syngonium Cupid's Quiver. Beautiful plant as well. I love pink plants. And as far as Syngoniums, I would even recommend that as a Christmas plant. A Christmas gift if you are going to give somebody a plant for the first time. Syngoniums are not bad. You just have to let the person receiving the gift know that you have to stay on top of the watering. They can tolerate a little bit of dryness, but I would say stay on top of the watering. As soon as it dries out completely, give it a really good soak and you will do well with a Syngonium, and they're pretty fast growers. Hoyas are also an easy to care for plant. I would say, Hoyas would also make a good Christmas gift if you're planning on giving somebody a Christmas present that is a plant. I love Hoyas. They're very forgiving and they're readily available. $5.98 is not bad. And we also have some more of these different types of Hoyas by Proven Winners Leaf Joy series.
Why you keeping me waiting? All I want, the love from you is so long. The love, all I want, the love from you waiting. All I want, the love from you is so long. The love, all I want, the love from you. Why you keeping me waiting?
I love Proven Winner Leaf Joy series, and hopefully Plant Foldies, you've enjoyed this installment of me just doing a big box store plant shopping video, especially for the holidays. I hope everybody has gotten their Christmas shopping done. I don't have a lot left. I pretty much got all of my presents ready to go. If you enjoy this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe to my YouTube channel at Grow Folds. I'll see you tomorrow with a brand new video.